know it kills you inside. That's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify. The things that you believe in have to scream it like a battle cry, and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love. Those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug. Those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make up lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others fail to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Yeah, y'all, thank you for being here. Shout out to my pops. I do this for you. Hey, man, we're in a panic rush to get this show going. I apologize if you guys haven't heard from me all day, wondered if the show was going on. It's here. It's just I have a lot going on. I am currently retiring, clearing from the military, and we got to talk sports, and I got to get home in time, grab some quick dinner, start doing the shows. We got live streams tonight. It's pretty exciting. I'll be talking to everybody. Shout out to everybody watching on TikTok. And anybody watching from the Discord server on YouTube right now. I'm trying to get to everybody and everything. Thank you for being here. Let's get focused. So, if you guys don't know the gist of the show, it works like this. I answer all questions as long as they're SEC or Sunbelt related. That's what today is. Today is Thursday. We talk the SEC and Sunbelt or anything trending in the world of sports. I'm going to go over the slate up here. And as I talk, you guys can get all your questions in. Get your questions in early. And if you get them in early, I will get to them. If you get them in too late, well, you won't get your question in. Most people can get them in nowadays. It's okay that we have it all here. We got some football games tonight to watch. We are doing a live stream watch party on YouTube. You guys can just hit the live tab on Rico Knows. Come join us. Come watch. It'll be a good time. We're hanging out. And I already told the MVPs what I think about the games tonight. If you don't know, all you have to do is go to Patreon. And if you go to Patreon, you will find my assessment of these games, my analysis. I provide information to gamblers. That's how it goes. I provide a breakdown of what I think is going to happen tonight, and we hope it happens. We have been really good during the week, by the way. I'm just saying. I say we, but it's me. Okay, let me just keep it real. It's me. I'm 19-2 when telling you about the games during the week for the last 3 weeks. That's not a joke. Against the spread, overs and unders, 19-2. Think about that. That's not an easy feat. It's not easy. Yeah, somebody says, hey, it's going to wear out someday. Yeah, it's going to fall down. Yeah, we're going to lose at some point. Get on it while you can. Stay hot. Everybody's making money. Come get yours. Rico knows. Go to Patreon. There's a link in the bio. There's a link in the YouTube live stream. You can get there. People are getting there every day. We had 25 people sign up today with no advertisement, with no fanfare. People just find it and get there. And once you get to the server and you connect it all, you're good to go. So I'm going to talk about the SEC, Sunbelt, and anything trending in sports. Then I'll get your guys' questions. Hang in there. Shout out to anybody watching on TikTok. Shout out to anybody watching on YouTube. Let's go. So in the world of sports, if you didn't know, I did a recent post on TikTok. I did a 5-minute long video, I think, where I talked about New Mexico State and the tragedy that's happened at New Mexico State. So I went back last year, October 15th last year. There was a football game at New Mexico State in Las Cruces. People travel down. It's a rivalry game. They come down to New Mexico from Albuquerque, New Mexico, down to Las Cruces. If you didn't know, Las Cruces is about 60 miles west of El Paso. So the tip of Texas, that little tip part, going into New Mexico, go about 60 miles, and you'll hit Las Cruces. Ain't a damn thing out there. Okay? Ain't a damn thing out in Las Cruces. Awful-looking city. But anyways, they got in a big brawl. They got in a fight back in October of 2022, last year. And after they got in a fight, and I say they got in a fight, it was a bunch of people. It was a brawl. But 2 basketball players were in that fight. One of them was a guy named Peak. And Mike Peak beat somebody up pretty bad. And his name was, I think it was not Stewart. I think it was Stewart. His last name was Stewart. And I talk about him in the past tense because he's not here anymore. But the reality is this. Was it Jonathan Stewart and Brandon Street? Brandon? I get the name mixed up on the young man. But he made a poor decision. He decided he wanted to set up Peak. Set up Peak. So Peak beat him up. This is a basketball player at New Mexico State. 6'7", 230 pounds, athlete. He's a power forward. He's a wing. You know, he's doing some great things. Maybe a small forward wing. But Peak goes out there, beats him up. This guy goes back to New Mexico, talks to this girl, and he tells her, she's 17 years old, and he convinces her, a student at New Mexico, he says, hey, start talking to Mike Peak on Tinder. Hit him up on his dating profile. Let him know you want to hook up. So that way when he comes into town a month later, now it's a fast forward a month forward in November, New Mexico comes into town on the bus. They show up on the bus. They're there for a rivalry game. They're at the hotel. Mike Peak's getting text messages from this girl, Angela. Angela's hooking up. She keeps writing them. And what does Angela say? Hey, I want to see you. I want to see you. Let's hook up. Let's have sex. Mike Peak wants to get laid, bro. He's a college kid. So he sneaks out of the hotel, orders a lift, and he goes out to the dorm rooms to go have sex with this girl. She's 17. She's a student. They're talking in the parking lot, and they're trying to get in the building, but the building's got controlled access. So she's got to put the pin in, swipe her little badge and all this stuff to get in the dorm rooms. And while they're doing that, out of nowhere, 3 dudes run up on Mike Peak. 2 guys carrying a bat, 1 dude carrying a gun. They're getting their revenge because he beat them up a month earlier. So they point a gun at Mike Peak. The girl runs inside. She set him up. And he gets hit by a bat twice. Gets hit with a bat twice. Starts running for his life because he's going to get beat up and killed, if not shot and beat with the bat. So he starts running. But as he's running away from his attackers, he has a gun of his own. It's in his waistband. Got to ask yourself, why are you packing, bro? You know you have problems. You don't need to be out there. You knew it was a setup. You knew you were going to run into some beef. Why else would you carry a gun on the road? This is New Mexico, though. So he's running. He pulls the gun out, and he starts shooting back at his attackers. And he kills Mr. Stewart. He kills him. Shoots him 4 to 5 times in self-defense. No problem. Got to kill him. That man shot him as well. So Mike Peak got shot in the leg. Then they take all the gun. Mike Peak then hops away after killing this guy, leaving him dead on the concrete. He hops away. He's got to get away from the other two dudes with the bats. They run away. They brought a bat to a gunfight. And he hops away. Eventually, they got this all on camera, by the way. I posted a whole video on this. The whole story's on my TikTok, with footage included. He hops away, and he calls his teammates. They call somebody local they know in the area. They get in a yellow Camaro, pull up. Pete gives them the gun, his cell phone, and a tablet. And they take off, and they keep all that stuff in the trunk. Eventually, the cops show up. Pete gets taken to the hospital. He's not talking to anybody. He's in surgery. He's trying to get better. The cops want to know where's the gun. They want his cell phone. The cops want to help him. They think he got set up. They want to help him. But the basketball team doesn't understand that. They're afraid. They cancel the basketball game. The coach, the head coach, Greg Heyer, former head coach, he got fired over this. Greg Heyer tells the team, get on the bus. We're going back to New Mexico State. We're going back to Las Cruces. The cops say, don't leave town, guys. We need to question all the players. We need to know who was in that yellow Camaro. We want the gun. Heyer says, okay, I'll ask my guys to stay fast. We'll stand fast. We'll wait for you guys. You guys can come interrogate us, but we want lawyers. You can't ask them shit. And then Greg Heyer puts them all on the bus, and they take off going south. He makes a run for it with his team. The most insane thing you've ever heard. Homie took off with his team after the cops were trying to question them. The cops chase after the bus with the sirens going, catch up to this bus that had like a 20, 30-minute head start. They catch up to it. They pull it over 2 hours later. They pull it over. They pull the bus over. They start interrogating everybody. Now they want to know why. Coach was sending voicemails. He was sending calls straight to voicemail. Coach was not answering the calls from the detectives. These guys were not trying to help solve a crime. They were trying to run back to their hometown. For what reason, I don't know. Turns out, the players knew where the gun was, because they went and told one of the assistant coaches where the gun was. And an assistant coach, Coach Taylor, was staying back at the hotel. He had the gun wrapped in a towel. He had it hidden in his room. The coaches are hiding the guns, guys. 3 hours later, they find Mike Peake's cell phone at an administrator's house. A New Mexico State administrator had the cell phone at his house. The coaches and staff are hiding the cell phones. Why? What are they afraid of? They actually think their player committed murder and wasn't justified in his actions. They don't know anything. They're ignorant. They're actually cutting the rope. You should see the interview. I posted in my video. Coach is pretending not to know the kid. You got 15 players on the basketball team, bro. You don't know you're starting forward? He's like, oh, I don't know. I inherited him. I didn't recruit him. I've only known him like 7 months. I've been on the job 7 months. Bro, 7 months? People get married in less than 7 months. People move in. You don't know this kid? 7 months, you don't know him? You pretend like you don't know him? Oh, I don't know. You have to talk to Coach Taylor. He knows his family a lot better than me. Man, Greg Heyer, you make me sick. He's now a head coach at a JUCO, by the way. So while we're dealing with all this nonsense, the university doesn't want any of these players. They suspended Mike Peake indefinitely, despite him being innocent and never having charges pressed against him. No charges. The cops got the footage. They got all the information. They found out it was a setup. This dude was justified self-defense. Are you kidding me? Cops did not charge this young man. Completely innocent of a crime. Just poor decision-making. Going out to get laid. Okay, that's what college kids do. Pussy motivates them. That's their business. But my goodness. Greg Heyer, you're a terrible coach. Hiding guns, lying about things, and then taking off with your team. Bro, it gets worse though, guys. Because fast forward, that was November. Fast forward to February. Players come forward and say they're being sexually assaulted in the locker room. Hazing. What? Well, we got to do it to keep the players humble. The hazing started right after the gun incident. What? Players went to coach. Coach said, I can't do anything about it. What do you want me to do? You want me to stop these guys? I can't stop them. Coach didn't do anything to alleviate the problem. The young man who was a victim Went to his father, said, Dad, what are they doing to us? Dad, we can't get this fixed. They keep assaulting me. I'm a freshman. They're pulling down my pants, spanking my buttocks, playing with my genitalia, embarrassing me, sexually assaulting me. So Dad says, well, I'll call the athletic director. We'll get to the bottom of this. Coach doesn't want to do something, we'll go to his boss. And Mario Mocha, I like to call him Moco, which is booger in Spanish. Mario Mocha doesn't answer the phone calls. He's too big. He big times the dad. He's too important. He's too tenured in his job. Remember, he just got a 5-year extension and a raise by the president of the university. And don't get me started. The president gave this man a raise, a pay increase, but the president was fired by the Board of Regents. The Board of Regents, New Mexico State's senior leaders who hire and fire people, said, you are not going to get your contract renewed. Come June, you're out of here. We're not renewing your contract, buddy. And that's a very classy way of firing the president. So what does the president do? He goes to his best friend on the staff, Mario Mocha, and gives him a $70,000 raise and extends him for the next 5 years. Oh, and then he quits that day. Said it was coincidental. Said the extension had been in the works for a long time. But he goes to the press conference, introduces him, speaks first, gives the AD a raise, and then he quits. So what's going on at New Mexico State with this athletic director in charge? Well, the scapegoat is they fire Greg Heyer. They fire the coach for the hazing. And then they settle out of court. They take a plea deal, and they pay the victims. There's 2 victims, and the father becomes one of the plaintiffs. The father, because you ignored his phone calls when he was trying to help his son, the father had to eventually go to campus police to start an investigation. Father was part of the plaintiffs. They got $8 million. The university, part of the plea deal, took no blame. They took no heat for it. And they used an insurance policy to pay the $8 million. So you're hiding guns. Somebody on your administration is hiding a cell phone. You're running from cops. You're lying. And you're hazing your students. Sexually assaulting your players. And you're letting it happen on your watch. And you're getting raises while it happens. We fire the president. We fire the head coach. But the guy in the middle gets off scot-free. So this week, what happens? This week, there's 3 more victims. 2 players and a former team manager. 3 victims come forward and say they were sexually assaulted. They were hazed. Well, yeah, I think $8 million will make you want to come out and tell the truth. But this time, they named names. They put names to the allegations. They put names to the assaults. And let me tell you, what kind of lawsuit are we looking at here? The names, 3 guys have been arrested. 3 have been criminally charged after the accusations. 3 New Mexico State basketball players. And former. Let's talk about former. Because if you were a victim of this, excuse me for a second. If you were a victim of these hazings, or you were a perpetrator, the New Mexico State head coach decided he didn't want you. They hired a new coach. He came in, and he encouraged all the players to go hit the portal. We need a new culture here. We need to hit reset. What? You're getting rid of the victims? You're punishing the victims? That's crazy. That's wild, man. We know who the snitch was at Northwestern. We know who it was. It was a 5th-string quarterback who now plays at Division III school. I don't want to say his name because he's a victim, but we know who it is. Nobody shunned him or any of the victims at Northwestern. You don't want to get rid of those players to get them off your team. Why? Because they're weak? Because you perceive them to be weak? They encouraged everyone to leave. That's wild. So these guys are going to be in trouble here. These guys are facing real counts, and I want to make something very clear. They're innocent. They're innocent until proven guilty. So there's an assumption of innocence here in America. So let's make that very clear. But the 3 players named for sexually assaulting these victims are Deshaundre Washington, Dr. Bradley, and Kim Aiken Jr. Now, they're charged with sexual penetration, multiple counts of false imprisonment, and criminal sexual contact, multiple counts of conspiracy charges. They're planning this whole thing, right? Okay. What everybody needs to understand is all 37 charges are felonies in New Mexico. Where is the lack of institutional control? When do we start talking about a lack of institutional control? I just want to know. What's the determining factor? When do you decide that there is no institutional control at New Mexico State? This is far worse than Northwestern. This is far worse. This is equivalent to Penn State. We're talking about guns in the locker room, criminal actions, slapping buttocks, pulling down pants, touching scrotums, reported the abuse to higher, and then coach said he would look into the issue and did nothing about it. This is ridiculous. And nobody's putting a stop. Nobody's being held accountable. Now we're going to hold the 3 players accountable. But what about the administration that ignored the phone calls to allow this to happen? What about that athletic director? I want that man to be held accountable for his inaction. You know how appalled we were with Joe Paterno or anybody else at Penn State that knew about the allegations and the suspicions and the actual acts of Sandusky? And we all thought you enabled a monster because you didn't say anything. Well, Mario Mocha, you didn't answer your phone, man. People are being sexually assaulted on your campus and your sports programs, and you didn't answer your phone. It's the least you can do. Call back a parent. I'm trying not to curse. Well, let me tell you guys, you don't ever want to be a victim of the New Mexico State penitentiary system. This is a story about a man named Brady. No, I'm joking. This is a story about a man, Stephen Slevin. I don't know if he's alive today. But Stephen Slevin was pulled over for a DUI in New Mexico. In Lordsburg, New Mexico. If you don't know, you drive on the 10. You're going from Arizona to Texas. You're in New Mexico for a short period of time. You drive through Deming, New Mexico, and Lordsburg. This man was pulled over for a DUI. You get a DUI, you get pulled over. All right, you get arrested. Cool. It's a weekend. Typically, you get arraigned. You got to go see a judge Monday, Tuesday, and then you get released if you couldn't make bail. And that's it. Then you got a court date. You got a fine. Maybe your car got impounded. You got to go get it back. I mean, life sucks. Not for Stephen Slevin. Stephen Slevin was determined to be incompetent. They thought he was having a psychotic episode. They knew he was drunk, but they were worried about his mental health, so they put him in solitary confinement. And then they had a shift change. And another shift change. And every shift change, nobody ever concerned themselves with the crazy dude in that room that was yelling and screaming. They would feed him food through a little slit. They would take him to a mental hospital to get him checked out. But they kept labeling him as not safe for public, the population, the general population. Kept him in solitary confinement, guys. Never went to court. Never saw a judge, never got arraigned. He just kept getting locked up in jail with no court. This ain't a third world country. This is New Mexico. It's a damn state in the United States of America. And for 2 years, he stayed in solitary confinement, 22 months, just under 2 years. Solitary confinement without any court, without any judgment, no jury, no nothing. They just kept determining he wasn't fit to enter the courtroom or to move, and then they had new shifts and new corrections officers, and one guy didn't know why he was there, the other one didn't know. They just kind of just kept going and just going through their cycles and saying, it ain't on me. 2 years. This man was forced to pull out his own tooth because he wasn't allowed to see a dentist. Right? They asked for $22 million. They gave him $15. But from 2005, 2007, he was in the Donna Ana County Jail. His toenails grew so long that they curled around his toes, around his foot. Fungus festering on his skin because he wasn't allowed to shower. It's ridiculous. They had to give him $6 million by the end of the week. By the way, he's now terminally ill. No one knows how long he'll survive. He might have already passed away. This is an older story. But I need everybody to understand. They paid him $15 million. New Mexico is going to be paying some victims, bro. And it's going to be in the millions. You can't ignore people. You can't ignore cries for help. You can't ignore victims. It pisses me off. And then there's people like this. There's this player, DeSanto Rollins, defensive tackle, Ole Miss. I did a video on this many months ago. He is suing Coach Lane Kiffin for his mental health, for a mental health crisis. If you don't know, this is a young man who said, well, first off, he couldn't make the two deep. Coach Kiffin didn't want him on the team anymore. He was a defensive tackle. So Coach Kiffin did an old school move. It's what you do as a coach. He said, hey, man, we're moving you to offensive tackle. And he said, well, I'm a defensive tackle. He said, yeah, I know, but you're not going to be in the rotation at defensive line, so we're going to move you to offensive line. By the way, you're fourth string and you're getting no reps at practice. That's the way you process a player out. It's a cold world. The young man lost his mind, got emotional, wanted to talk to a strength and conditioning coach, a positions coach, somebody else. But Lane Kiffin said, look, if you don't like it, go to the transfer portal. But you need to leave the team. And that's it. Now there's a recording. The kid finally, he said he needed to take a break. He didn't want to be in Coach Kiffin's AO, like in his vicinity, in his area of operation. So he went home for a while, for about 2 weeks, and he kept ignoring Coach Kiffin's calls. Kept ignoring the fact that Coach Kiffin wanted to see him, and he did it under the guise of, well, I'm having a mental health crisis. I'm having a mental breakdown. I don't want to see you right now. I'm not fit to see you. I can't handle seeing you. I'm going to act irrational. So when it was time to finally see Coach Kiffin, this kid showed up with a tape recorder in his pocket, made sure he said all the right things, didn't act out, and he tried to paint Coach Kiffin as a bad person. And yes, Coach Kiffin did not go at this man lightly. Firstly, Coach Kiffin makes millions upon millions of dollars, and his goal is to put out the best team he can every single week, every single season. I have no qualms with what Lane Kiffin was doing. This kid is not having a mental health episode, and Lane Kiffin told him, I think if I made you a defensive tackle and put you in the two deep, you wouldn't be having these concerns. If we changed positions on you right now, moved you back to defense, you wouldn't be acting this way. Kid said, no, I have problems. I'm still be upset. I'd still be depressed. I don't believe you. But Coach Kiffin cussed him out. Welcome to the real world, buddy. Coach Kiffin cussed him out and said, where the F do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Hey, we all got bosses. We all got somebody in charge of us. You answer to somebody. You don't get to just blow me off. If I tell you I want to see you in my office for a meeting, you don't get to just ignore me. Who are you? Mario Mocha? Like, you don't get to ignore phone calls. And the kid did. And now he's saying he was put under mental distress and all this shit, and he wants $40 million. Well, Ole Miss went out and said, they filed a motion, said, let's dismiss this shit. This is ridiculous. This is crazy. He was never kicked off the team. He's still on scholarship. Kids claiming he was kicked off. And there it is. There's some F-bombs in there. Kiffin let him know. you have an effing head coach. This is a job. Guess what? I have mental issues, and I'm not diminishing them. Yep, he's not diminishing that kid's issues, Roland's issues. He said, I cannot see my effing boss. I can't not see my effing boss. Like Lane Kiffin's telling him, if somebody demanded to see me, I have to go see him. I can't just blow him off. There's consequences. Welcome to the world of consequences. I guarantee you, if we called you and said you're playing defense, would you have mental issues? Roland says I definitely would. Kid's ridiculous. What world do you live in? Kiffin cussed him out and told him get out. It's called being he said the P word. It's called being a P. It's called hiding behind shit and not showing up for work. Anybody ever been there? Anybody know what he's talking about? I can't stand those employees that take sick days. I want to tell you, I once had a civilian employee work for me. I'm in the military, senior leader. I had an executive aide, a secretary. She worked for me. And every Monday, she was drunk out of her ass. She couldn't show up on Mondays. She would take a sick day Mondays. I couldn't stand it. And then one day, she took a sick day, and I was pissed because there's a lot of work to be done, and she just doesn't show up on Monday. So I said, what's going on? Called her. She said, I'm taking my son to the emergency room. I said, oh, okay. Well, I'll meet you there. Yeah, I want to know. I'll meet you there. She kind of froze and said, are you joking? I said, no. I want to make sure he's okay. And I want to make sure you're where you say you are. I was outside of her house at that very moment. She wasn't taking her son to the emergency room. She was lying. She made another excuse and said her son had chlamydia and had to take him to the doctor. And because it was HIPAA, I couldn't know any further details. Well, let me tell you this. I know her son plays the clarinet, is in the band, and is not sexually active. I met the kid. Homie playing Pokemon cards. I remember one time she told me she was filling up her gas tank. I said, why are you late? She said, I had to stop and get gas. I said, okay, well, let's go check the gas tank. She said, what? I said, let's go check your gas tank. You were getting gas. Let's go see your gas. We get to her car. It's at a quarter tank. Well, I was in a hurry, so I only got a quarter. Okay. Well, how'd you pay for it? Can I see the transaction? Did you swipe your card? You were in a hurry. Oh, no, I ran inside and paid with cash. I don't believe anything you're saying. Those types of people don't make it in life. She was fired before the end of the year. Had a pattern of just being unreliable. I'd imagine this kid, DeSanto Rollins, will never play football anywhere meaningful. And I don't know what he's going to do for his life, but he's not reliable. And I'm not diminishing mental health issues. Trust. 20-year military veteran, I think I know about mental health concerns. And I show up to work every day. Can't stand these kids. I hope they throw that lawsuit out and Lane Kiffin can go back to being the great man that he is and running his program. And he can go out there and coach and lead, mentor, and inspire great players who show up to work every single day, who are ready to work at a job that they're trying to become professionals at, not asking for handouts. $40 million. Get the hell out of here, bro. Quinn Ewers going to return versus TCU. Hey, they saw enough. They saw enough Malik Murphy to know Quinn Ewers is better at 70%. 70. Just saying. So hopefully Quinn Ewers comes back and he's ready to go. Takes care of the ball, but that's got to be exciting for Texas fans. Rutgers and Iowa setting a historic low of 28. Let me tell you, Gavin Wimsett's not scoring. Somebody else is going to have to score because it ain't Gavin Wimsett. Rutgers is going to struggle to score against Iowa. And Iowa will eventually wear you down and score something. Don't punt it to Iowa. They get enough punt returns, you might have a problem. I'm just saying. But yeah, that historic low of 28, it sounds like it's going to be even lower than that. I'm just letting you know. MVPs, if you're watching, if you're not an MVP and you want to know what it is, it sounds even lower than that, if you ask me. Now I'm going to start covering the games right now. Hey, just want to remind everybody watching on TikTok, if you're watching the show right now and you want to join in, see the screen, see the graphics, ask me a question. I'm about to get into my Q&A right now. come to YouTube. Search Rico Knows, hit the live stream, and ask the questions. We have people over here asking questions. You can be a part of it. I'm just saying. All right. Back to what I was saying here. 2 games tonight. Virginia at Louisville. It's the 11th ranked team in the country. 8-1. Only loss is to Pitt. And then Virginia's on the road. It's going to be an exciting game. I'll be doing a watch party for it. Southern Miss at Louisiana. Let's go. Southern Miss led by, you guys all think Frank Gore Jr. I think they're led by Wiles, man. Billy Wiles, former Clemson walk-on, earned his scholarship with Dabo and the boys, and then hit the portal. Earned a scholarship, hit the portal, and said, you owe me one now. And he's the starting quarterback for Southern Miss. I like Southern Miss to come out and shock the world tonight. I'm a big believer in Southern Miss. I can't go into detail on either one of these games because they're both MVP-level locks. If you want to know what I think about these games in detail, go to Patreon. I posted my videos this morning. I provided over 10 player props to all the MVPs on the Discord server. So if you're like, Rico, what about the player props? What about prize picks? What about... I got it all covered, and it's all on the Discord server or on Patreon. Figure it out, boys. We got over 700 members on Patreon now, 700 MVPs. We have over 1,500 members, but 700 MVPs and then another 800 free members just hanging out for the free picks. Shout out to them, damn vultures. By the way, there is a free ladder pick tonight. I provided it already. Go watch. You got to go to Patreon for the free ladder pick. It's there. You go to Patreon, it's there. You can watch it for free. You don't even have to pay $25. If you don't know what a ladder pick is, it's a pick that's plus 100 in the odds, so you get your money back. If you're not a gambler, you don't know. You bet 20, you'll win 40 or more, right? You bet 100, you'll win 200 or more. And if you get 10 of these in a row correctly, well, you should have laddered it and doubled, put in all your winnings over and over and over again. You'll get to 10K. We'll talk about it. Let's get back. Let's look at these games, though. We're in the Sunbelt. I already told you about Southern Miss, Louisiana. Let's go down here. Old Dominion at Liberty. Liberty's undefeated. Everybody says they're a top 25 team. They have a dominant run game. And Old Dominion, I still don't know how they're scoring. Still don't know how they're scoring. They lost Blake Watson. He went to Memphis. They lost their starting quarterback, Hayden Wolf. He went to Western Michigan. They lost their starting offensive tackle. He went to UCLA. Old Dominion lost 3 NFL draft picks. That was the most of any Group of 5 team in America. They were tied with Houston because they were a Group of 5 team last year. Old Dominion had the most Group of 5 players drafted. And somehow, they still score points from time to time. I don't know how, but they do. I don't like their matchup with Liberty. I think Liberty's going to go out there and, impose their will, if you will. UConn versus JMU. It's a huge spread. Very scary how large the spread is. And UConn's looked terrible recently. But UConn's kind of like a rivalry game for JMU. And JMU just lost Jalen Green for the entire season. We're talking about the nation's leader in sacks, 15.5 sacks, gone for the year. Now you got to have some backfill with some guys that don't have nearly the acumen, athleticism, ability, innate ability. It's going to be rough. But JMU's still a very good team, undefeated, obviously. App State at Georgia State. This is Georgia State's year to win some games nobody expected. Darren Granger's a great quarterback. Carroll at running back can really do his damn thing. I like Georgia State in that matchup. I don't know the spread off the top of my head. I don't have the book up, but I can tell you that App State leaves a lot to be desired. Shout out to Joey Aguilar, the quarterback. Nate Noel's a hell of a running back, but every time I say I believe in Nate Noel, he doesn't show up the next game. So I like Georgia State in that matchup. Troy at ULM. ULM's falling apart. They're getting beat up, and Troy is the team to do it. Troy is so dominant, probably one of the top 5 Group of 5 teams out there in the country. I love what Troy's doing. I don't know what the spread is, but it might be an MVP lock. Texas State at Coastal Carolina. I know this is a lock. All I can tell you is I love Texas State's offense. I love what G.J. Kinney's built over there. Ishmael Mahdi is the best running back none of you know of. And Coastal Carolina, very underwhelming year. Hiring Tim Beck as your new head coach, former offensive coordinator from NC State. Wasn't good there. Isn't good at Coastal. If you ask me, Coastal Carolina has 4 players in the transfer portal already. Mid-season, 4 players in the portal already. They said, we're out of here, bro. We're jumping this ship. This is the Titanic. They're getting one of them safety boats early. Gone. Shout out to Grayson McCall for coming back and not doing shit. Shout out to Pickney for being a decent wide receiver. But I like Texas State in that matchup. Arkansas State, revitalized Arkansas State. Jalen Raynor at quarterback, dual threat. True freshman. I think he should transfer. He's so good he can start anywhere. He was under-recruited coming out of North Carolina. I made a video on him. His mom wrote me directly and said, Rico, thank you so much for giving my son his pub. Finally recognizing his greatness. I said, man, that kid is great. Dominated last week. Beat Louisiana Lafayette beat the Raging Cajun by like 17. Nobody saw that coming. And now you got South Alabama. South Alabama is a very good team. I like the matchup. I like South Alabama to win this game. South Alabama's got good quarterback, running back, wide receivers, good team. South Alabama wins that game at home. And then Georgia Southern's going to break Marshall in half. I think Marshall's season's over. Love Rasheen Ali at running back for Marshall. I think Marshall's season is over. That whole feel-good story about them being decent and all this shit, no, Georgia Southern's going to throw for 500 yards in this game, and Marshall can do nothing about it. I think Georgia Southern scores like 35 to 40 points in this game. I love Georgia Southern's offense. Davis Brin, former Tulsa starting quarterback, just cooking. Jalen White and O.J. Arnold at running back, a 1-2 punch you don't want to deal with. Hood at wide receiver. What a great wide receiver. I just really like Georgia Southern's makeup as a team. So give me Georgia Southern to win that one and probably a blowout. Yeah. Alabama at Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky can keep up. Alabama hits too hard, too physical. And Kentucky's they're one or two hits away from just falling off the face of the earth. Kentucky has some skill players at wide receiver I really like. Ray Davis has maximized his potential and his ability. He's not that great on film. He's not that great athletically. Not that great athletically, but he does break tackles and he does move the chains and keeps Kentucky in games. But I like Alabama. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Give me South Carolina. Spencer Rattler can throw all over the place. It's going to be bad. I think South Carolina wins that by 2 touchdowns. Tennessee at Missouri. We're going to find out how good Missouri is. Let me just say that right now. They've impressed people because of their athleticism, because of their offense that can score. Luther Burden's so fast and always open, right? Schrader's actually it's not Schrader. What's his name? The kid, the running back. He's decent. But when I look at Tennessee, they look like a more complete team. I know. Underwhelming Milton at quarterback, but they're a complete team. I think Tennessee quietly is better than a lot of the SEC teams. I really do. We'll see what happens. Hoping Missouri wins because I like Brady Cook a lot. Auburn at Arkansas. Arkansas's wheels have fallen off, and Auburn's kind of cooking, man. They're kind of cooking. They're ramping up. They're ready for that big upset to beat Bama at the end of the year. Auburn is cooking recently. Offense is clicking. Coach is getting better. They're believing in their system. I like Auburn. Ole Miss and Georgia. Man, what do you got to lose? What do you got to lose, Ole Miss? Go do it. Let it all hang out. Jackson Dart is game. Jackson Dart is the man. He is him. I hope they put up some points. I hope they're competitive. I love Ole Miss's defensive line and the way they match up with Georgia's offensive line. I think if Georgia's going to win this game, Beck's going to have to light it up. Beck's going to have to light it up with his receivers. They're going to have to. I don't see any team running on Ole Miss. Not dominantly running on Ole Miss. Nope. The Ole Miss is real. So we'll see what happens. But you can light them up. You can throw all day. Go get a page out of LSU and see what they were doing because they scored some insane amount of points. But I like Ole Miss to be competitive. I don't know what the spread is off the top of my head. Obviously, Georgia is the favorite to win the game. But anytime I can root against Georgia, I don't miss that opportunity. I really don't. Florida at LSU. I think Florida can't compete with LSU. Graham Mertz has been playing better lately, but I still think LSU has too much firepower. Is going to score too many points. It's a lock, straight up. And then Mississippi State at Texas A&M. What's the spread? What's this? I want to know. I'm pulling it up. I don't got time for this. I'm pulling it. If it's, it better be 17. 17, huh? And 42.5. Texas A&M might cover that spread, y'all. They're a lot better than Mississippi State. Mississippi State's bad. They got to go to their third-string quarterback. Mike Wright's not it. They got to go to that freshman who they came off the bench, the dual-threat kid. They got to do something else. A&M, 17 points, huh? I could see it. Man. Dangerous. I like the money line, obviously. All right, I'm now going to take your guys' questions. Remember, all questions, SEC, Sunbelt related. If you're on TikTok and you want to ask me a question, move over to YouTube and ask the question. I got you guys. All you got to do is put it in chat on YouTube. We'll make it happen. Dom says, big fan of the channel. Should Bama roll Kentucky in this one? So, yes. The answer is yes, they should. Will they? What's the spread? 11? Hold on. Let me go check my chart, y'all. This is an MVP level lock. Dom, you always ask MVP level questions, and you're not an MVP. I can't stand you, Dom. Thanks for supporting the channel. I can't stand you. Arkansas versus Auburn, under 44.5. I might lean Auburn too. All right, don't lean too hard now. Don't lean too hard. You heard what I had to say about it. Thoughts on Texas State versus Coastal is on third string. Coastal's on third string quarterback. So it's an MVP level lock. I already know what it is. Yeah, and let me tell you this. It's not an MVP lean. It's a lock. Like, I believe in that game completely, so I can't really go into detail. Shout out to MVPs, man. It's $25 a month, bro. $5 a week and a $5 tip. I don't get the money. I only get the $5 a week. I don't get the $5 extra. That goes to Patreon. Just saying, $25, you can't beat it. People are making thousands off me. I'm making $25. Just something to think about. Love it. I need the locks. Kobe's Life, if you need them, you know what to do. Sunbelt Day today. What up, Evan Kramer? If you guys don't know, Evan Kramer is a student at Troy. He's all about the Fun Belt. MVPs here again or just Patreon? So just Patreon, big unit. No MVPs on YouTube until January. Just Patreon. Shout out to you guys. Roll Tide. Love SEC Day. Shout out to you, Paul Keenan. What's your thoughts on if Bama wins out, do they get the nod over Texas? If Bama wins out, they're getting in because they will be a conference champion and they will have beaten Georgia in the SEC championship. They're getting in. They'll get the nod over Texas. I don't think it's going to be between them and Texas. I think it's going to be between Bama and the loser of Michigan and Ohio State. Washington needs to go undefeated. Florida State needs to go undefeated. Michigan or Ohio State needs to go undefeated. And then you have a one-loss team that you need to talk about. And the one-loss team is between the loser of Ohio State and Michigan. And they did it this way. That's what the committee's setting up for. They're intentionally trying to leave out a one-loss Pac-12 champ or a one-loss Big 12 champ. They're intentionally doing that. If Florida State loses one, they're out because they have postured Michigan and Ohio State with one loss to be ahead of those other teams. That's why the rankings are the way they are. That's why Ohio State's all the way at the top. Just in case they do lose, they only drop far enough to where they don't drop below the other one-loss teams. It's all a crock of shit. It's all ridiculous nonsense. Nothing about it is transparent or honest or unbiased. It's not fair and impartial. Nope. My dude Rico, what up, Steven Kritz? How you doing, man? Texas would bend Alabama over sideways again. Shout out to Joseph Villalon. He is a Texas diehard fan, just so we're clear, or a diehard Texas fan. Texas would bend them over. These players have class. The players have class. They needed to get home. Okay. Rico, what's your thoughts on the leaked Lane Kiffin audio? Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I talked about it at length. It leaked months ago. It doesn't bother me at all. That's some real shit. You don't want to hear me talk in corporate America. You don't want to hear me talk in my offices to my employees. Oh, I'll give it to them straight, bro. There's some real tough love around here. I'm telling you, when I find an incompetent leader, subordinate leader, someone in charge of 30 to 40 people, you're a senior supervisor, you've been at this job for 15 or 18 years, and you don't conduct yourself to the manner in which I expect you to, let me tell you, I hold you to the fire. You don't want to be in my office. No, sir. I'm a monster. It's the monster mash. I'm telling you. Dudes walk out like this. Dudes walk out, their penises like this. Rico, when it comes to ranking teams, do you believe in wins getting better over time or only evaluate what the teams were that day and the outcome? Also, do you believe in bad wins between Power 5 teams? Tyler McNamee, I really dislike valuing wins in a snapshot. In other words, on that particular day, you think this was a good win because of what they were ranked at that moment when they played. No, the ranking just wasn't accurate. The dust needs to settle. Let me give you an example. Ohio State's win over Notre Dame. That's not impressive. It was at the time because they want to convince you that that was an impressive win, but it's not. I've watched substandard teams beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame ain't shit, bro. It's not that impressive. Right? I can remember when Washington stomped Michigan State 46-0 and everybody was impressed. But now we know Michigan State's terrible. What are you impressed by? Right? The Florida State win over LSU. Cool, man. About 3 other teams are doing that. Some teams are good. You're playing good teams. It's bound to happen. You're going to win a good game. But we need to slow down before we're impressed with certain wins. We really do. I'm just saying. That's what bugs me the most. When Miami beat Texas A&M, it was an unranked Miami team beating a ranked A&M team. And now you can't get A&M ranked at all. It's not a good win. It's just a good it's not a bad win. It's just that's your marquee win for the season? Nah. I think you should wait till the end of the season and look at the totality of the records and the quality of the teams you beat. I don't want to hear how you beat ranked teams. Are you shitting me? The weak Kentucky. Let's go to Kentucky. Let's look at their schedule. When you look at Kentucky's schedule, the week they played Georgia and Florida, they were ranked. They were ranked playing Georgia. But they're not ranked. They're not even worthy of being ranked. But they played Georgia and they were ranked. For that 1 week they played Georgia, they were ranked. Why? Because they beat Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, Vanderbilt. And then you beat a Florida team that was supposedly ranked 22. Where? By who? What metric? So now you play against Georgia this week, and this is the week. Look at that. They want to convince me that Georgia stomped out a ranked team, a top 20 team. No, they stomped out a what are we doing? If you're top 20, how do you lose 3 games in a row? Explain it, bro. They're all ahead of you? They're all ranked better than you? All right, you're not top 20 then. You're not. It bugs me, man. It bugs me. The 1 week you play them, you're ranked. And then you're not ranked again. And then you're not ranked again. You're 6-3. I don't like it like that. I like to look at it at the end of the season, sit down, let's figure out if these wins were any good or not. Were they quality wins? I value conference wins way more than out-of-conference wins. I want to make this very clear. Win your conference, and then I want to talk to you. That means you're the best in that region. I'm down with it. Beat people in your conference. Hearing Will Rogers has been throwing for 2 weeks now, trending towards being able to play this weekend. As of Tuesday, it was 40% chance he would start. Doesn't even matter. Will Rogers cannot play traditional football. He's a what is he? He's one of those air raid offense guys. One of those Mike Leach guys. Pre-snap read, let it go. No progression reads whatsoever. I have a whole video on why Will Rogers is not an NFL prospect. I have a whole video on it, made it last year. Go search it. Search TikTok, hashtag RicoKnows, hashtag Will Rogers. Good luck. Hashtag Mississippi State, hashtag RicoKnows. You'll find it. And I broke down his film. Excuse me. I broke down his film and I show you guys he ain't shit. I'm not impressed with him. That guy with the New Mexico State deserves some charges. I've been avoiding it because of how gross the whole story has been. I feel you. Will Peyton Thorne be a steal for NFL teams in the draft? Andrew, for anyone to be a steal, they would have to be taken late in the NFL draft and be valued by that team and get an opportunity to start and to play and all these things. Peyton Thorne is not that guy. Peyton Thorne is not that guy. If Peyton Thorne is drafted, remember, that is that team conceding that Peyton Thorne is better than somebody on their roster. So now I want you to look at Peyton Thorne on Saturdays with Auburn And I want you to look at your NFL teams and think of what NFL quarterback could be playing at Auburn right now and not be better than Peyton Thorne. I'll wait. Go through every NFL team's depth chart and point out the quarterbacks not better than Peyton Thorne. That's how I evaluate NFL draft picks. That's how I know if a guy's going to make it in the NFL. When you guys see me find hidden gems and I find guys who are going to make the final 53, it's because I've looked at all the depth charts in football. And I go, wait, that guy's better than those guys. Oh, he's going to make the roster. He's going to make an NFL roster. He's better than some guys in the NFL. Who is Peyton Thorne better than? And does that warrant a draft pick? Think about it. This Ole Miss story is crazy how it's grown from a minor thing to a kid asking for tons of money. My cohort who covers Ole Miss said something about the kid leaving the team when it happened. Yeah, well, Coach Kiffin threatened to kick him off the team and told him on the film, he told him on the audio, you're done. You're out of here. He did say that, but they never did the paperwork to process the kid. They were just flexing on him. They're good, though. He's always been in good standing. Kid just needs to leave. He's not wanted. You're not wanted there. Don't sue. Don't ask for millions. Don't stick around. You're not wanted there. Leave. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Now he's suing after trying to make an elaborate scene painting the picture. Yep, exactly. People can't handle accountability. They think they can lie their ways through life. I know. Peace, Unc. What up, Bascott Books? This has been one of the best shows. Thank you, Seth. I try my best. Holy shit, the over-under is at 28. Yes, it is, Isaac. I watched Mississippi State, Arkansas. I'm thinking 1st to 9 wins the Rutgers-Iowa game. Yeah, 1st to 7. 1st to 7. Could you give me a film review? Rockstar Mac. If you want a film review, send me a DM on TikTok, and I get to all my DMs eventually. Just so we're clear. I do get to them eventually. Just send it and be very patient. Don't send another one. Be patient. The people who are patient, they get their videos made. There's a reason. When you send me DMs, they get a date stamp on them. All right? So I have over 1,000 DMs asking for videos. So when I want to make a high school film review, I go to the bottom. I go to the oldest request, and I do my review on that person, my blind reaction film review on that oldest request. So if you send a request in July, and then in September, you write, hey, Unc, did you ever get to my film, man? I'm still waiting. When you send that second message in September, that message in July is no longer the oldest message. Now it's September. It throws you way up in the inbox. And now anybody who asked for a video since you asked for one is ahead of you. These kids are stabbing themselves in the foot. But if you just send one request and forget about it, one day you'll wake up with a DM from me saying, hey, thank you for your support and patience. I just made a video about you. And that's how those kids feel. I'm doing requests from July right now. You heard me right. July. Thousands upon thousands. I'm still in July. Send the DM. Be patient. It might be done in 2 years. It's typically service members. How was the sleep study? Hey, Seth, how was the sleep study? So if you guys don't know, I'm getting ready to retire here by the end of the month. I opted to do a sleep study. I have problems sleeping. I'm just awake all the time. You guys see me working all the time. I would say I have insomnia. I would say I'm just awake. I wanted to address some snoring concerns, some sleep concerns, maybe my sleep hygiene as they call it. So they said, hey, you need to come to the clinic, come to the hospital, and sleep in the hospital. We will check you. And I thought, all right, cool. They're going to give me a hotel or a hospital room. They said they're going to watch me on cam. I figured there'll be some microphones in there. They'll listen to how I sleep. Do I stop breathing in my sleep? That's not how it goes down, y'all. They hooked me up to about 50 sensors. 50. All over my face, my whole body, my torso, my legs, everything. I was all connected on all these things. You can't even move. I don't know how you're supposed to sleep. All these wires going into the system, they could hear and see and feel everything. They could detect if you were just closing your eyes and not sleeping. They can detect if you're just resting, moving your eyeballs with your eyes closed. They can detect anything. It was insane. It was very uncomfortable. It was a sleep by number bed. I'll never buy one of those. It was very uncomfortable. was a rough night. Had a lot of different dreams. It was a rough night. I don't get my results for 6 to 8 weeks in true Army fashion. But I got it done. Got home and still made videos for tonight. We'll see how they go. You don't know ball. Jamie Frazier, I don't know you. I never met anybody that I thought didn't know anything and stopped to talk to them. You ever been walking and somebody walks up to you and asks you for some money or something, you just keep walking? Somebody try to give you a pamphlet, knock on your door and try to solicit something? If you don't think they know shit, you just shut the door and keep it moving. Thanks for showing up, Jamie Frazier. You don't know ball. You don't know where your girl is right now, man. You got a girl, you don't know where she's at. She's lying to you. She's not at work. It's not a girl's night out. She knows a guy just like me. Your girl, whoever she is, she knows a guy just like me. Yep. And she knows his ball. It is typically service members get married at 7 months. Shout out to you, Marco LeQuinn. Shout out to you. Thoughts on the Louisville game and the UVA receivers? This man is out here trying to gamble. And the reason he's asking is because if you check the sports books, there are no Louisville wide receivers, so there's only Virginia wide receivers listed. My thoughts on the game are with the MVPs. It's on Patreon. You go to Patreon, pay $25, become an MVP for the month, and you'll get my thoughts on not just that game, but every single game, because that's what I give the MVPs. I do analysis on every single game. So hook yourself up, CEO Devo. Hook yourself up. Go to Patreon, become a member. You will know what I think about that game and the receivers. Shout out to Virginia, by the way. They only have one wide receiver. Marshall started off like 5-0, 6-0. Yep. What the hell happened? Injuries and a lack of depth. They lost a lot of players in the transfer portal. And in the transfer portal, they were grabbing some late additions that were just character concerns, problematic. And that doesn't hold well in your locker room when things start going south. So things are falling off. Yep, they're falling off. And a lot of it has to do with the lack of continuity and belief in the system and what they're doing. And it's unfortunate. But that's what's happening at Marshall. Injuries and just not getting it done. Can Dart throw against Georgia's defense? Isaac, he can throw. He can run. He can do a lot of things against Georgia's defense. Don't know how successful it's going to be. Georgia's got a great defense. A lot of speed. Very problematic. But Dart has the wide receivers to do it. Has the running backs to do it. His offensive line needs to hold up. They'll be competitive. It's not going to be they're not getting smoked. It'll be the best team Georgia's faced this year. So, yeah, he can throw. He can throw. Devo retracted his message, bruh. I hope he's an MVP. What happened to Leary? Was he just a product of one solid season in a good situation at NC State and the analysts trying to guess on the next big sleeper quarterback prospect? So first and foremost, there's no analyst out there that was guessing on Devin Leary. It was recruiting websites who labeled him the best quarterback in the portal because of what he did 2 years ago. I could give less than two shits. I did not care. I did not like Devin Leary. I was not very high on him when I did my ranking of Kentucky's transfer portal class in the winter. I just thought, that guy's not good on film. I don't know what everybody's talking about. He did not look good to me. And I put Jack Plummer ahead of him in my rankings in the winter. Then over time, in the spring, in the summer, they kept saying how great he's going to be and what he's going to do with these receivers and all this shit. Guys, Devin Leary's not very good. There's nothing that happened to him. He's just not good. They're not trying to – he's not the next big sleeper. What big sleeper? There is no such thing as a big sleeper at quarterback. All these scouts and all these analysts, all they want is the top 3 quarterbacks at the top of the draft. That's all they talk about. You can't miss. They just say, hey, man, it's going to be one of these 3 guys. Yeah? Is Bryce Young really good? Okay. CEO Devo become an MVP, and you'd have your answer already. There it is. Salt and the SWAT knows the deal. And this man says, shit, okay. You sign up for MVP, and you won't be able to slap $25 down and double your money night 1. Pays for itself. Salt and the SWAT knows. It pays for itself. I'm a fool. I told Kim that I think I should be charging $25 a week. I think I should be charging $100 a month. The amount of money MVPs win is insane. The $25 is insignificant. That's why I have so many MVPs. $25 is insignificant. With the amount of money they're gambling and betting, they ain't worried about me. They're betting. There's a guy putting $1,000 on tonight's game. with my information. I ain't getting shit for it. I get $25 a month. I ain't mad. I'm straight. I'm just saying. There's not an MVP out there that feels like they wasted their money. Not one. And if you find one who claims they wasted money, tell him to prove he was an MVP first. Because there's a ton of guys saying, I was an MVP and I quit and I canceled. Yeah. Okay. You canceled. We don't believe you. I'm telling you, we don't believe you. I know. Because here's my list of active members. There's who's canceled. Here's my paid members. We ain't fronting on the numbers. 765 paid members. We got a new MVP at 5:30. What time is it right now? That was 30 minutes ago. We got a new MVP. Here's my free members. 808. Here's who's canceled. Yeah, don't believe the hype. Anybody on TikTok telling you they canceled MVP? Where is it? Where is it, buddy? Keeping it real. Receipts. MVPs are winning. And big. 19-2 in the last 3 weeks on weekday games. How do you gauge teams that have given up at this point of the season, and do any of those teams exist in the SEC or Sunbelt right now? So teams giving up on this season, they gave up on their coaches. They've given up on their fellow teammates. They've given up on their goals and aspirations. I don't judge them either way. I just get excited when I see them on the slate because I know they're not going to put up a fight. Are there any teams in the SEC that have given up? Mississippi State, probably A&M. Those two come to mind immediately. Mississippi State and A&M. Obviously, Vandy's not putting up a fight anymore. I just feel like Arkansas, they mailed it in. Fired your offensive coordinator. Not doing shit. They're just looking for reasons to blame other people. Those four, to me, feel like they've really fallen off. Sunbelt, ULM is really, really struggling to put up any semblance of a fight. Week in and week out. App State, not any good. I'd say the rest are still fighting. Southern Miss, we'll see what they do tonight, if they can fight or not. Coastal Carolina, mailing it in, quitting on their coach. And obviously Marshall. Marshall just mailed it home. That's how I feel about it. South Carolina feels like they might have quit. I don't think they're very good. I don't think they quit. They were never really good. They were never really good. Rico, am I crazy for thinking the over in the LSU game is low at 64.5? I think it goes way over that. Isaac. Goes way over 64.5? You think Florida's scoring 30 points? Florida's defense is solid. Solid enough. You think LSU's putting up 50? Let's say you think LSU's putting up 50, which is absurd. Then you think Florida's putting up 14, over 14, 17-ish? From your question alone, I'm prepared to go on my lock sheet and put the under. 64.5, I'm going to tell MVP 64.5 under. You guys just got a free play right now. I'm adding it to the list. LSU versus Florida. Give me the under. And I'm putting my record on it. What am I betting? My reputation. The under on that game, Isaac. I'm gonna record this and clip it. Let me just double check my chart. Give me the under. What's the spread? I'm going to give you guys a full analysis here. 14.5. If it was 13 like it was at the beginning of the week, I would have said, give me the LSU's covering the spread and give me the under. LSU's covering the spread and give me the under. You think Florida's going to go out there? You think they're putting up 30? You think they're putting up 30? Give me the under. How you like them apples? Great question. It's low because of the Daniels concussion situation. He'll be cleared. He was at practice. Leave my Irish out of this. They play sometimes hard. Ugh. Pause. This is a broad question. Being inspired by staring at the UK logo, why have programs stopped trying to develop quarterbacks? Kentucky hasn't developed a quarterback since Randall Cobb, it feels like. Okay. So teams they're just not very good at developing quarterbacks. Development of quarterbacks comes from your quarterbacks coach, your offensive coordinator, and the good ones have become head coaches. And the good ones have moved on to the NFL. They're finding other opportunities elsewhere. Like Bama doesn't develop quarterbacks. It was Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin that did. Okay? We need to remind ourselves who's actually developing these quarterbacks. There's so many guys not developing quarterbacks. So the trend is I'm going to miss on a quarterback in the transfer portal. I'm sorry, in the recruiting process, but I can find one in the transfer portal. That's the trend. That's how it's going to be. Remember, I told you guys, in the spring, whatever quarterback doesn't win the 2 deep, whichever quarterback doesn't win the starting job, and he's now second string, yeah, he's got like a 50% chance to go hit the portal and go start somewhere else. Shout out to about 6 guys who did that in the spring. It happens. So then your backup quarterback is really your third string quarterback. And he's going to play because your starter is going to go down at some point. Notre Dame is the same way. They refuse to develop a quarterback. It's not that they refuse. They don't have the coach to do it. They lost Brian Kelly. He can develop quarterbacks. They lost him. They don't have a quarterback developer there. Who's supposed to do it? There's rumors that Notre Dame wants to go after Tulane's quarterback. Michael Pratt, he's good. I don't talk about rumors. I don't report any rumors. I report facts and after they occur. What conference is he doing today? SEC Sunbelt. I saw the update from Brian Kelly seeing he was day-to-day. He is day-to-day. Lewis Hinton out here just – Rico, is Texas A&M's defense good enough to shut out Mississippi State? Shutout's a strong word. Shutout's a strong word. The 42.5 line seems super low for the spread being 17. Shutout's a strong word. I know that Mississippi State's defense is pretty solid when comparing them to A&M. I think it would be a low-scoring game. Terrion Arnold, better than Kool-Aid. You must be talking about a drinkable Kool-Aid. Do you think Jaden Daniels is better than Sanders, and does he have a Heisman chance? He does not have a Heisman chance. He does not have a Heisman chance, and I think athletically he's better than Sanders. If Shedeur Sanders was on LSU, they'd have the same amount of wins. Shedeur Sanders can throw that well. He's that accurate. He's very good. I think LSU would have the same amount of wins if Shedeur Sanders played for LSU. I think he's that good of a quarterback. I like Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback. Jaden Daniels is more athletic. I don't know what that means. I don't know how that equates to what you're asking. Do you believe Gus Malzahn will continue the Alabama dynasty after Saban retires? I would hope they hire Lane Kiffin, Dabo Swinney. Those are 2 guys that come to mind. Gus Malzahn is not the guy. Not to me. Remember, Gus Malzahn is he's an Arkansas guy. He's an Arkansas guy. He needs to go back to Arkansas and go fix Arkansas. He's not. He ain't doing shit. Where's he at? UCF right now? What's he doing at UCF that makes you think he should have the Bama job? The hell? Can't remember your take on the 12-team playoff, but with more transfers, do you think a 12-team playoff will be a good thing with more teams needing some time to gel a lot and not be eliminated in September? Tyler McNamee, I'm a huge advocate for the 12-team playoff. I want it to be 32 teams, and I think that there will still be a huge amount of blowouts because the talent discrepancy is huge at the upper echelon. But there are 3 good teams in every single conference that probably deserve to be in the playoffs. There are 3 upper echelon teams in every single conference. Every single one. So 12 would be pretty cool. Is Georgia Southern's defense good? No, not necessarily, Dom. Their weakest thing is their secondary. They're not very good. Their defense is not very good. Their offense is straight. Do you think Johnny Manziel could have been a good quarterback on the current Dolphins? No, Johnny Manziel is a drunk and a drug user. I'm not an advocate for either one of those things. Thoughts on Jacksonville State and my future head coach, Rich Rod. CEO Devo. They play in Conference USA. I talk Conference USA on Mondays. So thank you for the question, but I talk Conference USA on Mondays. Fun fact, Ole Miss and Georgia both played Auburn at Auburn and both won by exactly a touchdown, just saying. Thank you for the fun fact, Isaac. I guess Leary is just a testament to the box score can lie, but the film doesn't. Thanks, Rico. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Devin Leary's game. Nope. Don't give a shit about his touchdown to interception ratio 2 years ago. Don't care how productive he was in the ACC and he had an injury and he's getting back from that. Don't care. I watched the film and it ain't there for me. Skill set was inflated by an NC State hurry-up offense they ran last season. Made him look much better than he really is. Than reality, for sure. Florida has scored less than 21 only against Utah, Kentucky, and Georgia this year. I don't know, Rico, this might be the first time I disagree with you on college football game this year. Isaac, let's go, man. Let's disagree. Let's do it. Let's disagree. I feel you. Athletes. This is why I'm an MVP. Rico's feedback might save me from a bad beat. Nah, man, go get your beat. Go beat me. I guarantee you MVPs have better records than me. MVPs do have better records than me because I have to pick every single weekday game, and that's how we have to go. Thank you. Shout out to everybody on TikTok watching the show. Appreciate you guys doing it. Wish you would come over to YouTube and drop a question so I can answer your question instead of you guys writing over here. I don't like that, but I appreciate you guys. Just a reminder, at what time? What time we starting tonight? 7:30. Live stream at 7:30 in about an hour. We're starting the live stream. If you're not an MVP on Patreon, go become one so you can watch the videos from this morning, get all the prop bets, and at least make $100 tonight. Make all your money back and then some. Everybody out there is doing it. Don't ask me about Penn State or Michigan. That is not an SEC question or a Sunbelt question. I talk Big Ten on Tuesdays. Do you still think Haener is better than Richardson? Not trying to sound rude, just genuinely curious. Yeah, I think Haener's better than every quarterback in this draft. That is what I've said all season. I don't understand why I would change it now. I don't get what you guys do, man. You guys just walk around. You're not acting rude. You're not doing nothing. You're just asking a question that had already been answered 1,000 times. Period. Nothing's changed. Which one of these rookies is starting over Derek Carr? Which one of these rookies is getting drafted by the Saints and starting over Derek Carr? It's all about situations and teams you end up on. It's all about opportunity. It has nothing to do with the talent level. Zero. If you don't play in the NFL, it's because somebody in front of you is valued more than you or respected more than you. And if you're drafted early, they just put you in because your cost more than the other guy. Be smart. All right, y'all. Good luck. I'll see you tonight. Peace.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist. And it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify. The things that you believe in have to scream it like a battle cry, and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love. Those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug. Those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make of lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others fail to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen